I have a lawnmower.
Okay, we're recording. I'm sorry, Danielle.
There is a lawnmower right outside my window. I don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear it?
I cannot.
I can't hear it.
No.
Okay, great. Then we're good.
So welcome. Would you like to introduce yourselves, Mike and Danielle?
Ladies first.
Sure. Hello, I'm Danielle Beckman. I'm the producer and lead actress in the film LizaAnon, and I'm a filmmaker in Los Angeles, California. I lived in New York for 13 years, which is where we made the film. We premiered it at Tribeca, and now we're happy to be here at Ojai. So glad that you got to watch.
Mike?
Take it away, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike Peebler. I am an actor and a director on this project, just a director and co-writer. And I live in Los Angeles, and we filmed it in Los Angeles, and we premiered it about 6 weeks ago at the Chinese Theater as part of Dances with Films.
Fabulous. That's great. So Danielle, what inspired you to make this film?
Sure. So actually, the writer Leah McKendrick, she is one of my college friends. We got our BFA in theater together at Chapman University, and she is a writer in Hollywood now. So she's working on Paramount Pictures' prequel to Grease. She has a couple of her scripts circulating with Sony. And so a couple of years ago, we were having a brunch, and she'd kind of just had like her first big script sold. And I was lamenting a little bit to her about that actor hustle of being a little stuck in New York City, as it was doing a lot of theater, which, as we know, doesn't fully pay the bills. And I was like, oh, I just want a role I can really sink my teeth into. And she said, let me write you something. And she knew that I did improv, I did stand up, I love playing different characters. And so with Liza, she's like, look, there's this girl. You'll get to pay like 5 people in one 12-minute movie. What do you think? And I was like, I'm sold. So she wrote the script and kind of gave it to me as a gift. And I raised the money, produced it. I hired everyone from the director to the line producer to the grips on set to all the background actors. And we made it happen. And people really received it well. We premiered at Tribeca, and we're having our amazing festival run. So we're just really excited. From what that one, what can be born out of, I guess, feeling stuck or feeling frustrated. Sometimes that can lead you to action. So that's
Did you crowdfund it?
I sort of crowdfunded. I went through a fiscal sponsorship site called The Field. So it was great because a lot of our donors, got their tax deductible donations. And it's one of those things where I literally put my dignity and pride in a box and put it somewhere, and then just asked everyone I knew for money.
Crowdfunding is the worst.
Is that how your film was made, Mike?
Not this one, no. But I have my prior film. We crowdfunded, and
Okay.
Boy, it is a humbling experience.
It really is. And then people just unsubscribe to your mailing list for some reason. You know what the truth is? I think the power of crowdfunding these days on film, on sites such as Seed and Spark, is that if you have a really good video, you have a good platform, people are more than happy to give. If I see something like that for a friend, I'm like, oh, sure, $10, $20, absolutely. Because it's more about me believing in that person, not necessarily the film itself. I'll wait to see the film, but it's me believing in that person. So
I was amazed as much by who gave as by who didn't. I find that to be interesting. These people
Really?
that you're like, you haven't talked to in years.
Yeah.
Just come out of the woodwork and give you money, and then people you're like, well, I can count on them, and then they're like, what?
Yeah. It's really surprising, right? It's also surprising too to see who is passionate about film or the arts, and and who could pass on it.
Yep.
Hold on. Sometimes a question of timing, when you're asking somebody at the right moment when they're ready to write a check and they've got money in their account, and you miss that window, and next day, oh, sorry, can't do that.
Yep.
So it's quick. Mike, what inspired you?
So for everybody that just watched the movie, you've seen the location, and that's a big part of the movie. So what prompted this movie was a good friend of mine sold her house to a developer that was going to tear it down and build an apartment complex. And as soon as she told me that, the light bulb went off in my head. That's a location. And she's in the film business. And I asked her, I said, hey, once you close on the house and move out, can I do something in there before you turn over the keys and do whatever I want to it? Because they're going to tear it down anyway. And she's like, yeah, they don't care. Like it's a knockdown. So I went to my writing partner and I said, hey, we have a location. We can do whatever we want to this house. Let's write a movie. And so we just generated a bunch of ideas based on that, and then came up with the one that we ended up shooting.
Cool. That's great.
So brilliant.
How did you fund? Did you crowdfund this one?
No, I mean, this is bare bones. I mean, the location adds so much production value to this movie. And then we, the total crew, the cast is only 3, and the total crew for this thing was 5. I mean, wow. We were bare bones. And because it's a one-take movie, we didn't have a lot of lights. We didn't have a lot of, we had a sound person, we had a makeup person, and we had, because there's stunts in this movie, that's right, that's a one-take movie with stunts, we had a set medic. But other than that, it was pretty much just us. So this was out of my pocket because it costs so little to make.
That's a good strategy for COVID time, I would think. You're relatively safe.
Keep it small.
Yeah, because when did you shoot, Mike?
Well, actually, it's funny. We shot just before COVID. So yeah. COVID happened, and we intended to sit on this movie anyway. It was like, it came about because of timing, because my friend sold his house. We were still on a film festival. We were just finishing a film festival run of my prior movie. Thankfully, it finished right before COVID. And so we weren't in a hurry anyway. We had just finished something. So we were like, okay, we shot it, but we weren't in a hurry. And then COVID happened. So then we were really not in a hurry, because I didn't want to, I feel so bad for people that submitted all these film festivals right before COVID. And then it's like, oh, we're doing nothing but a virtual film festival. Right. And that's like, so we just did post, sat, and then started submitting it about 6 months ago when it started looking like, the world was going to open up again, and, premiered about a month ago. So
that's great.
So who's your target audience? What's your ideal distribution? I know, Danielle, you said this is a seed for a longer idea. Mike, is that the same for you?
This is such a silly movie. The target audience is people who want to laugh. This isn't like a proof of concept for a feature. Our last movie was so much different. It was heavy, and it was proof of concept, and it was like issue based and blah, blah, blah. So we wanted to go totally other direction. It was like, let's make just something dumb. And so we made this really ridiculous one-take action movie. And so our target audience is people that just want to break, and just want to laugh for 8 minutes and like go on this journey. And actually the most fun thing is a lot of people don't. The biggest sign to me that we succeeded in terms of it being a one-take movie is that a lot of people watch it and don't realize it's a one-take movie until afterwards. And in fact, I did a Q&A for another festival, and the woman who had seen the movie didn't even realize it. I told her, and she was like, oh my God, you're right. That was a one-take movie. And to me, that is like speaks to the success of that tool, because if it sticks out, then it's like, oh, well, you did this to do it. But it actually just serves the storytelling in such a way that you kind of don't even realize it. So that's kind of the fun of it for me. It's like, wow. The target audience is people that want to have a laugh.
Danielle, what about you? Target audience, who do you want to see this?
Yeah, this one's, I would say, it is a comedy. It's a dark comedy, but I would say this is for like the outsider, the person who's trying to fit in, goes to great lengths to do so, and just trying to find a place to belong. But I also think that the short it's really poignant, it's really well written, and it makes you laugh. So I think that I think the comedy element is a big thing as well. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. But yeah, I'm excited. Mike, I'm excited to see what you think. I'm excited to see what you both think, actually.
Cool.
Yeah, but it hit right at the right time for COVID. So yeah, because we made ours in November 2019.
Mhm.
And we were sort of rushing under the line, like, oh, let's get it
Mhm.
invested in it and having everything. We're like, oh, now we can really take time on sound
Take
design.
time.
Now we can really, yeah. So it's wild to think though that was 2 years ago.
Wow.
How nice to have a like accomplished Hollywood screenwriter say, "I'll write you a script, you lucky duck."
Yeah. She, you know, we've been friends forever, college besties. And so also Leah McKendrick, the screenwriter, she's also an awesome actress. And so, you know, I'm like, put yourself in the feature, get yourself in the
Mhm.
feature, you know, so she'll probably have a juicy role in there. And yeah, it's really wonderful to see. Actually, I was having a conversation about a lot of people from my alma mater, and how everyone is just hustling in the business. One of my friends from college, she represents me regionally. She's my agent in Texas and New Mexico and sends me out all the time. So it's, you know, those connections that you have forever, so good to, you know, really foster.
Yeah, Chapman puts out a lot. I know a lot of Chapman people, and I've actually done a
Yeah.
little bit of work down there. That's a good spot.
Yeah,
Oh,
same
awesome.
here. Same
Oh,
here.
great. I love it.
Last year's festival, we had a few Chapman really good films. So
Great.
tell me a little bit about your influences as a filmmaker or an artist or a person who's been strong in your development of your point of view and your work.
Oh, are you asking me?
Either one.
Sure. Well, I
Mike's
can.
thinking, so go ahead.
Mike's thinking. Well, I would say specifically for Liza Anonymous, you know, we're a very strong female-led team. And so, you know, for this film, we love films like Ingrid Goes West, that have that sort of messy, flawed female protagonist, that kind of lets it all hang out and maybe goes a little too far. So those sort of indie films that you can really, that like have a lot of heart that you can sink your teeth into. As far as myself on the filmmaker side, the name, you know, I'm writing a couple things right now, but the name of the game for me is I'm just producing and starring in everything I do. So I'm like, let's make this happen. I have another short in development right now. And, you know, let's just see how far we can push the boundaries of maybe what it would look like to have like a really, really flawed woman on camera. Because I feel like often, you know, you have films like Wolf of Wall Street, or, you know, you have these like really terrible people,
The anti-hero.
that are, that are male, that
They're
we
male.
go,
Yeah, they're
oh
always
yeah,
male.
well, that makes sense, you know, he's just a man being a man. And it's like, well, what if it was a woman? So I think that that's a heavy influence um on my filmmaking and the stories that are coming up in the future for me as well. So
How about you, Mike?
Well, I have a long, rich history in theater. I studied acting and theater at Northwestern University, and then I did an MFA in acting at UCLA. And then I spent a long time doing Shakespeare, working at Shakespeare companies in LA, act as an actor and a director. So for me, the one take movie is a piece of theater. So I was so comfortable with that idea, because, you know, when the curtain goes up, you don't get a second take. It's all live, and it's a one take medium. Whatever happens, you've got to make it work. So that my co-writer and co-producer and one of the actors in the movie, he and I have known each other forever. He's a theater actor. And then the two stunt people I hired both have a lot of experience doing those like live stunt shows at like Universal. That's a one take medium. You jump off the tower, through the fire and into the water, and it's live. There's no second take. So we're all really comfortable with that idea of walking the tightrope of not knowing what's going to happen. And so we rehearsed it like a play. We rehearsed it for like a week and a half. And we rehearsed it over and over and over the day we shot it. And because of what happens in the movie and the things that get destroyed in the house, we literally only shot it once. This is not just a one take movie. This is a one shot, one take movie, because we destroyed the house. So it was very nerve wracking, but it felt very familiar. It felt like making a play. So when I called action, it was like, you know, the curtain coming up.
And
How
it's
did
opening night and closing night.
the whole run in one time? How did I would love to know, how did the cinematographer, how did your DP work and all that choreography? Because I imagine
That
they were
was,
like another character.
yeah. So we rehearsed for like a week and a half, just the actors in another space. And then when we got the space, you know, we only had a few days so to prep the space. And so once we got possession of the space, we did a day and a half of rehearsal with camera. And that's absolutely right. The camera was an actor. And so, and the DP, as a good DP would, had a lot of really great ideas. You know, we had all this blocking built out, and then he came in and was like, well, but what about this? And what about this? And they were all like, yeah, that's way better. And so it was really fun to rehearse the camera. And the other character that nobody sees is, because the actors get bloody over the course, they get beat up in the movie, we hid a makeup person. So the camera would look this way and the makeup person would jump out from the closet and puts makeup on the actor, and then the camera comes back and now they've got some blood coming out of their nose, and then they'd run over to the other part of the house and wait for the next thing to happen. So it was this wonderful, I mean, again, it was like a play. It was this wonderful choreography. And yes, that's a great astute question, Danielle, is that the camera person was a character in that play. The makeup person was a character in that play as well.
Wow, that's so cool. So I mean, I have a question here. The hardest part of the production, Daniel, that's all you've been talking about. I mean, Mike, that's all you've been talking about. But Danielle, what was your hardest part of the production? Then I'll go back to Mike.
I would say the background actors. We had a total we shot the whole thing in 2 days, and we had 70 people on set.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was, I would say 2 things. I would say, one, the background actors, because for every single support group, there's a whole slew of different actors.
Did you beg or did you pay?
Oh, friends came out.
That's always hard. It's so hard.
Yeah. And then I'd say that a second thing was the circular dolly track. So we shot in a Korean, we shot in this Korean church. And they had this big space that we use for our ending scene. And then underneath they had about 6 different rooms where actual anonymous groups would meet. And so the pastor there gave us the keys and, you know, let us film. And our art department was amazing for this film, because each of the support groups, you get a different taste, a different vibe. Like the Gamblers Anonymous, everything is like red and green and black, like a roulette table. And when she goes to Sexaholics Anonymous, it's like everyone's wearing leather and lace, but there are also like pops of like baby blue and pink for these like gender specific colors. And so each of those we got to transform, and each of those we had to lay down a dolly track and take up the dolly track every time within 2 days. Wow. So the opening scene, which people who've seen the film here know, the camera circles around Liza in each scene to show that she's spinning this web of lies. It's spinning around her. And the dolly track was the biggest challenge. I didn't know. And I'm over here, producer woman, like, we can't go into overtime. What's happening? And I'm like signing checks between takes, you know, trying to make sure we stay on track, but literally on track. But yeah. So we had amazing DP and first AC and director though. So they really made it work. And our director, Aubrey Smith and Chloe Smolkin, they worked together a lot. And so they had this shorthand, which is really helpful.
Cool. Mike, what would you say was the hardest part of it besides the one take?
Well, the really specifically was that because we were destroying things in the shot, we couldn't rehearse that. We could rehearse the moves. We could rehearse what was going to happen, sort of, but there was a certain amount, you know, like when she has the sledgehammer, like, okay, I'm going to hit this, and then I'm going to hit that, and then hit this, but she can't ever do it until we actually roll camera, because once we've beat up the house, that's it. So the hardest thing was not knowing and not being able to rehearse the sort of destructive elements and just hope that they work. And crossed our fingers.
What was the most rewarding thing on the other side, Mike?
I mean, the most honest, I mean, it's, first of all, for real, that nobody got hurt. Because we were doing stunts, and you know, we did have such a lean team, but the like one thing I wasn't going to skimp on was like I hired a real set medic to be on set and take care of us and make sure everything was safe. And you know, with that recent tragedy on Rust, we see what happens when people cut corners on safety, and that's a place I'm never ever willing to cut a corner. So I was that was my biggest like scared of thing, was somebody gets hurt. And so honestly, when we got to the end and I yelled cut, I just was filled with gratitude of like, okay, everything worked, but also everybody's safe. And that was for me rewarding.
Beautiful. How about you, Danielle? What was the most rewarding part of the whole experience?
I would say the most rewarding thing were, it was the text messages and emails I got the following week after set, and people were coming in saying like, that was the most fun I've had on set in years, or like, that was the most peaceful set I've been on, or I don't know if you know this, but so-and-so who I know, from a long time ago, was one of the background actors in this scene with me, and we reconnected after so many years. Or we had this one actor who is 18 and it was his first film set he'd ever been on. And so he's just gushing, like, oh, I get to, and he sat just to the left of me in one of the support groups, and he has like a nice on camera moment. And so he's just like, you have no idea what that means to me. So I think the fact that we all kind of came together in that feedback really meant a lot. Because, if you think about it, like it really does trickle down
completely
the people. And so that's the kind of the culture that I set from the beginning with this film, was like, we are like women led, we're inclusive. We are like everyone is equal in this filmmaking process. I might have more lines than someone else, but that actually doesn't matter, because we're all putting our equal share into making this movie the best it can be. And so that was really cool.
That's so important. It's I think the worm is turning on that. We're finally realizing like, you don't have to have a toxic workplace to make something incredible in the arts. And you're so right. It always comes from the people, I don't want to say at the top, that's too hierarchical, but the people who are however you want to say it, it starts there. And I think, I always think of directing and producing, it's like throwing a big party. And you get to decide what kind of a party it's going to be. And it is so rewarding at the end when you have those moments where somebody says, oh, I met this thing, or, oh, I had such a great experience on your set. And for this one, it's so gratifying. Beyond just the finished product of the movie is the experience of making the movie. And it's just this idea that you have to suffer in order to make it. I mean, yes, sometimes you got to work your ass off, but you don't have to suffer. Right. In order to make it.
Right. And all that to say, like, our martini shot was 1:30 in the morning. It was 17 degrees outside, and we only did it in one take because we were like, well, everyone has to leave, so it's like, but at the same time, I also think what you said was interesting, because setting that tone, I feel like it can tend to show up on screen too. Like if it's a tense environment and you're filming, unless it's a really tense scene, it doesn't serve the set. So I was really grateful for that feedback.
I'm always amazed that people expect to get the best work out of other people when they're treating them like crap. Like, if you want to get everybody's best work, then treat them well. It just seems like such fundamental principle. But
I know.
I spent the first couple of decades of my career working comedy commercials with the best comedy director. We did the Little Caesars cheeser things, and every day was a laugh riot all day long, and it came through on the film. And I spent over 10 years doing these kinds of commercials, and it was so much fun, and it affects the work. So I wonder, Danielle, do your support group people get support in your filming there? Did the Gamblers Anonymous people walk away saying, I'm going to Vegas, or or not going to Vegas?
I mean, truth be
Free
told,
therapy, free
truth be
therapy, right?
told, they were all actors.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But no, but it's actually in the feature film, what we want to really explore more is this, the heroes of the film are going to be the people in recovery, essentially. It's the because in the film, Liza admires them so much that they can be themselves, that they can be open. They have this open wound that they're sharing with people. And in the short, she says, I've never had friends like you, friends that'll take my call at 2 a.m., friends that'll ask me just how my day was or say that they're proud of you. And so we're going to explore that more. But yeah, I think all is well in the support groups, the sponsors, everyone's working, everyone's doing well, everyone's staying sober. So except Liza's got a lot of work to do.
That's great. So do you have any advice for young filmmakers who may have just seen your films? If you could go back to the beginning of your career now with what you know now, what would you do differently?
That's such an easy one for me. Go like hell. Just make anything. Don't be precious. Don't feel like you've got to only make masterpieces. Make terrible things. Make interesting things. Make boring. Just make things. As many things as you possibly can, because that's the only way to get better at anything. But at filmmaking, I think the biggest mistake a lot of filmmakers make, and myself included, is like, oh, I'm going to wait. I'm going to make sure everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to try and get it. And it's never going to be perfect. And B, like, especially early on, like, you're going to blow some things. So might as well blow it on the cheap thing you're shooting with your iPhone. And it's been democratized. I have a 4K camera in my phone that is as good as, a lot of things. Put that on a gimbal and I can shoot damn near anything. So just make stuff. That was the number one thing. Just go, make as many things as you can.
Yeah. And I second that 100%. And just to also like add on, I would say, and tell as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, let everyone know what you're making and ask for help. It's okay. I also coach actors and artists. I actually coach a fashion designer as well. So I coach anyone who's kind of in this creative field. And a thing that we talk about a lot is like, they're like, well, how do you meet someone to help you with this? Or how do you, I'm like, you tell everyone, you have to tell everyone. And so, yeah, keep creating and just keep making it known, even if you post on Instagram and your post gets 15 likes, that's 15 people that now know,
right?
So just, yeah, keep persevering.
Cool. My last question, what's next for each of you? What's on the agenda, Mike?
Well, the movie I spoke of that was my prior short, which was the very heavy issue-based drama. That is a proof of concept for a feature that we're now just about to begin the financing process. We've been crafting the script, the feature, for about a year and a half now, working with a producer who's got a really sharp eye, and she's like, I'm not taking this out till it's ready. I'm not taking this. And we've it's like draft number 16. It's like, oh my God. But she's not doing it. So, and then she's like, okay, I think we're almost there. So I think we've got our pitch deck put together. We're on just this draft now where we're just tweaking a couple little things, and then she's going to help us push it out in the world. And hopefully that will be my directorial debut in terms of feature films.
Cool.
What's it called, may I ask?
Well, the short was called Evie. The feature is called Fire with Fire.
Awesome.
Fire with Fire. Cool.
That sounds
Danielle?
awesome, Mike. Yeah, we've got the feature version of Liza coming. We are partially funded, and we're working on getting more financiers, and really excited. And then I have another short that I can't really talk about yet, but I'll be producing and starring in that. Think corporate executive who abuses everyone around her and alcohol, has a life-shattering moment that changes everything, and she chooses to change her selfish ways. There we go. That's
It's
all.
an autobiographical, clearly.
Oh, yes, yes. Yes, this isn't water, everyone. But yeah, and then other than that, my production company, Brooklyn Quarter, that co-produced Liza Anonymous, we have a show coming out well, let's see, this will be screening November 8th. So it will be coming out tomorrow, November 9th. It's called Novel Chronicles. It's a tabletop web series, and it is a live improvised storytelling show within the realm of Dungeons and Dragons. So we're essentially playing the game Dungeons and Dragons through this story in this alternative fantasy world, which is the creation of my husband, Timothy. He's playing the game master. I'm playing one of the lead characters. We have a couple other amazing LA actors, and really excited. So Novel Chronicles comes out on November 9th, and it'll be every Tuesday.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it's fun to say, yes, my production company has award-winning films and also a D&D show. Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's great. I'm very happy to have met both of you and have your films here in Ojai. We're very grateful.
We're happy to be there.
Yeah, this has been so great.
Anything else you'd like to say before we sign off?
I would just love to say, if you want to connect in any way, DanielleBeckman.com, say hello, or LizaAnonymousFilm.com. Just reach out. I think this is a really collaborative art form, so would love to say hi and hear what you thought of the film and talk.
Nice. Thank you both. Mike, Danielle, enjoy the
Thank you.
festival. We'll see you this weekend.
Thank you.
Take care. Stop recording.
Danielle, are you going to be there at all?
So I can't come to the screening on Monday.
Bummer.